Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to the start of another reading vlog. As I'm sure you can already tell by the title and the thumbnail of this video, for this vlog I'm going to be reading the Dreamland Billionaires trilogy by Lauren Asher. At the time I'm starting this vlog, which it is currently January 22nd. The third book hasn't even been released yet. It comes out next week on January 31st. So I wanted to start this in plenty of time for me to finish books 1 and 2 to get me ready and hype, hopefully assuming I enjoy books 1 and 2 for the release of book 3. But also I am going to Disney World next week. So if you do not know, these books follow 3 brothers. Each brother has their own book and their own romance in each story. And these brothers work in the theme park industry, which I've heard the theme park that they work for compared to Disney. So I feel like reading these books now is just perfect timing to get me hyped for the release of the third book and for my Disney trip. So I just wanted to vlog the whole experience because I know this is a really popular series that a lot of people like. So we're going to be starting out with book 1, which is The Fine Print. And I'm going to be reading these books on my Kindle, which I haven't really shared my Kindle yet on my channel because I just got it for Christmas. But all of these books, well, book 3 isn't out yet, but when it comes out, they're all on Kindle Unlimited. And it's actually a funny story because I did ask for a physical copy of The Fine Print for Christmas, not knowing I was going to be getting a Kindle and that these books are on Kindle Unlimited. And The Fine Print was actually on back order, so my mom is like, it's not going to come in time for Christmas, but I'll get it to you when it comes in. So she texted me a couple weeks ago and she was like, hey, your book came in, and I just haven't had a chance to meet up with her yet. But if I do before I finish it on my Kindle, then I'll definitely be reading it physically as well. But even if I don't get around to reading the physical copy, I like to have physical copies of books that I enjoy anyway. I will say it is tropes that I normally don't like. It's Grumpy Sunshine and the guy is the grumpy one, and I just don't really like a grumpy man in romances usually. It's also a workplace romance, which for me, when I'm picking up a work of fiction, I'm trying to escape my reality. So I don't really want to be thinking about work when I'm reading a book, but we'll see. Like I said, everyone loves these books. It's a really popular series, so I'm hoping to enjoy it as much as everyone else. And I'm hoping that it gets me even more excited for my Disney trip. I'll definitely be vlogging all of my thoughts along the way and letting you guys know what I think. This book has a playlist. Do you guys judge how much you think you're gonna like the book based on how much you like the songs on the playlist? I try to just get a general vibe of what I think the book is gonna be like based on the vibe of the playlist. Hi guys, I am 15% of the way into The Fine Print and I wanted to give a first impressions update. Honestly, 20 pages in, I already had so many thoughts and opinions about this book that I could have filmed a first impressions update then, but I wanted to spend a little more time with this book before sitting down to film, so I had to cut myself off at 15% because I have a lot to tell you guys. So to set the scene, we have the 3 Kane brothers. We have Rowan, who is our main male character in The Fine Print. We have Declan and Cal, and their grandfather has just passed away, who I'm kind of thinking of him as being like Walt Disney. So he's left them with this huge inheritance, but in order to get their part of the inheritance, they have to complete a task that he assigns to each of the grandsons. So Rowan is tasked with coming up with a new and innovative way to make Dreamland better. And basically his grandfather wants him to be more creative because he feels like Rowan's creative spark has died over the course of his life and he wants to bring that out of him. So Rowan unwillingly goes to Dreamland in Florida, which I love that it's supposed to be like Disney and it's set in Florida. And he goes to sit in on this meeting with all the Dreamland employees, and this is where we're introduced to our main female character, Zara. Zara comes into this meeting 20 minutes late, out of uniform, with her skateboard, making so much noise, being obnoxious, bumbling around trying to find a seat, and she ends up sitting next to Rowan. And even after she's seated, she keeps like bumping Rowan. She accidentally hits him with her skateboard, and finally Rowan is like, do you mind? And she's like, sorry. And then they bicker back and forth and she ends up calling him an asshole. And my first impression of Zara was not a good one because she just seems so unself-aware. She seems like she thinks she's better than everyone else, like she can break the rules and just be obnoxious and rude. And she's supposed to be the sunshiny character, and Rowan's supposed to be the unlikable, grumpy character. And I was on Rowan's side, and I still like Rowan's character better. So I'm not really a fan of Zara at the minute. Every time Zara is described, or whatever she says, what she's wearing, what she does, she just seems so immature and childish. I'm literally picturing like a 12-year-old girl when Zara is mentioned. And all her interactions between she and Rowan just feel so forced. I'm not feeling the chemistry at all. And aside from the characters not really doing anything for me, the plot, it's like so one-dimensional and lacking in details and description that I'm almost confused, because I'm like, what is going on? I feel like it's so jumpy. I have no time to like get used to the new characters or setting or whatever's happening in the current scene we're in before it jumps to the next scene. I hate to be so negative right out of the gate, and I really wanted to love this book so much, and I still want to. I'm gonna keep reading with a positive mindset and in the hopes that I am gonna love this, but right now I'm very disappointed and I am not liking it. Fingers crossed that it gets better from here. I'm 20% in, and they literally just kissed out of absolutely nowhere. There's no chemistry between them. Nothing was leading up to that. It's literally the elevator scene and the hating game, but like a billion times worse. Ew, now he's like, I hope she doesn't go to HR and report me. So you're admitting that you kissed her without her consent, and like, what is happening? Hi guys, I am halfway through with the fine print. I'm at the 50% mark, and I am happy to report that this book has gotten better. Am I loving it? No. But am I liking it? Honestly, still no. But I don't hate it as much as I did initially. I feel like I've warmed up to the characters a little bit more. I don't know, I'm still not really that invested in their relationship though. I feel like the characters aren't really giving me much. The plot's not really giving me much, so there's really nothing to like pull me into the story and to make me like it and to make me root for the characters. But it has gotten better. I feel like I'm still kind of weirded out that they kissed so early on. And now I understand why it happened, because it was kind of a catalyst for another plot point. But it just really bugs me that Rowan had to like flip it around and victimize Zara after they kissed and be like, what if Zara is like all these other girls who just want a lawsuit settlement out of me and just want my money? And I'm like, bro, you kissed her. Like, you literally came onto her, so you can't say anything. Like, you kissed her out of absolutely nowhere. So that's all I have to say about that. It's just like weird to me, and nothing really has been said about the kiss since then aside from that. So I'm just like, okay, whatever. If they're pretending it didn't happen, I'm gonna pretend it didn't happen too. But at the 50% mark, I would say right now the book is just kind of like silly, which is fine. I don't hate silly, but I don't love it either. Like, Zara and Rowan just spent a day at the parks, and if you are familiar with Disney at all, you would be able to pick up on the fact that this one ride that they rode was clearly supposed to be the Haunted Mansion, and the name that they give this ride is the Spooky Castle ride. I'm like, are you serious? You couldn't come up with something better than the Spooky Castle? I don't know why, that just really got me. It feels like a placeholder name that they forgot to go back and edit. And then Rowan, he has like indigestion or heartburn from all the roller coasters they've been on, so he's been like popping Tums all day. And then at the end of the day that they've spent in the park together, no spoilers, but something happens that makes Rowan feel rejected. So he compares the way he feels to the empty Tums bottle in his pocket. He's like, I feel empty inside, just like the empty bottle of Tums in my pocket. Like, first off, you are really comparing how you feel to this bottle of Tums. And second off, I don't think you're supposed to consume a whole bottle of Tums in one day, dude. Like, you might need to go to the doctor. But that's how I'm feeling so far. I hate to be like negative and bash this book, but I'm just really hoping that it gets better. I've been like trying to seek out YouTube videos and TikToks to see if anyone else feels the same way about this book that I do. And I found a few people that felt the same way, and I was reading the comments because I'm like, well, do I even want to continue on with this series? You know, I don't want to like make a whole vlog reading 3 books back to back that I don't like and just like bashing them when I'm clearly in the minority and everyone else loves these books. But there were so many comments that were like, I hated the fine print, but I loved terms and conditions. So I feel like the general consensus is that book 2 is better regardless of how people feel about book 1. So I'm gonna keep giving this a go. I hope it gets better, and I will let you guys know. Hi guys, I am 70% through the fine print, and we just had our first spicy scene. And I was really anticipating the spice because I knew it was coming. Zara's character feels so childish to me, so I'm like, I think I'm gonna hate this. I feel like it's gonna really ick me out. But I ended up really liking it. It was so well written. It was super hot and steamy, and it made me like the characters more. I feel like we saw this different side to them. It made me like their relationship more. And yeah, it made me like the book more. So the spicy scene was a very pleasant surprise. Hi guys, I finished the fine print and I did really like the ending. I liked how everything wrapped up. I thought Rowan's character arc was really good, and the representation in this book was really good too. But overall, I just didn't like this book, unfortunately. I just don't think it was for me. And I was trying to put my finger on what it is exactly that I didn't like about it, because I feel like it's more what the book was lacking than the book doing something that I didn't like, if that makes sense. But the 2 main things I could think of that I didn't like about it were, so for one, I feel like the characters were just super bland. They weren't really giving anything. I wasn't rooting super hard for them to be together. I just didn't really enjoy reading from either of their perspectives, so I just didn't really care. And then the second issue I had was the pacing of this book. And normally when I talk about the pacing in a book, it's referring to like how quickly the characters get together, if it's a romance, or if it's like a thriller mystery, how the plot unveils and how like the twists are thrown at us. But in this book, the pacing was something like I've never seen before. I feel like we were told a lot of things, but not really shown. Like, Rowan at one point early on in the book was saying how he and Zara had known each other and it had been like 3 months. And I was like, 3 months? I didn't even realize a week had gone by. And then there was another instance later on where they're like on this airplane and they're sitting in their seats, and then like 2 sentences later they're talking about how they're like picking snow up off the ground. And I'm like, wait, I thought you were on the plane, so we've landed now and it's snowing and you're on the ground? Like, I feel like there were times where it would just jump from one place to the next without describing the in-between, and it had me so confused. So yeah, just the jumpiness from scene to scene I thought was a little odd. Yeah, this one sadly was not for me, and to be completely honest, I'm not looking forward to reading Terms and Conditions, but I want to give it a chance because everyone seems to say that this one is better, and I was highly anticipating this trilogy at the start of the year, so I do want to film this vlog to completion for you guys to let you know my thoughts. So I'm literally about to jump right into Terms and Conditions now. All I know about this book is that it follows the next brother, Declan, who is even more grumpy than Rowan, and we're following him as he marries his assistant, Iris, I believe, because the task that his grandfather gave to him to get his part of the inheritance was to marry someone, and then he has to have a baby with them. So it's going to be a marriage of convenience kind of trope, which I've never read before. So I think that'll be interesting to read about, and I will of course let you guys know my thoughts on it. Also, I forgot to mention this, but I think I'm going to wait until the very end of the vlog to let you guys know my ratings for each of these books. Alright guys, I'm 37% of the way into Terms and Conditions, and I am already liking this one better than the fine print. I feel like Iris's character is great. She has some depth to her, and I like Declan better than Rowan. Even though they're similar, I feel like Rowan had so many walls up that it was just impossible to read him, and he was like so icy. And Declan is very stoic as well, but I feel like he lets out these little bits of emotion that we get to see, and we're also like reading from his perspective too. So I feel like he lets us know how he's feeling a little bit more than Rowan did. So I'm already liking the characters more. I like them together. I feel like their dynamic makes sense as to why they would get married, because Iris is a faithful employee. She's been Declan's assistant for 3 years, I think, so she really knows the ins and outs of Declan's needs and how he can be with his moods and everything, and she really can handle him and like dish it right back to him and give him a dose of his own medicine. So I really like that. And Declan really trusts Iris because work is pretty much his life, so Iris has kind of been at the center of that for him for years. So I feel like they already have a really good foundation built on trust, but it's just only been professional up until this point. So I feel like the tension is building up really well, because in public they have to obviously pretend like they're this married couple who are in love, but behind closed doors they're like, you know, this is just for show, but we might really like each other, but they haven't really let on too much yet. So I feel like the tension is building up nicely. I'm kind of excited to see them get together. So I think this one has potential. I'm not loving it, but I do like it more than the fine print already. So I'm just hoping it gets better from here. Hi guys, I'm 50% of the way through Terms and Conditions, and I really don't have much of an update to give because I honestly feel just so neutral towards it. Like, I couldn't tell you a single thing I dislike about it, but at the same time, nothing about it is really pulling me in and making me love it. So we'll see how the last 50% goes. But last night I did end up going to my mom's and I got the physical copy of the fine print, proof that I thought I was gonna love this book because I asked for it for Christmas. But I was flipping through and it's making me question if I would have liked this book if I'd read it physically instead of on my Kindle, because it has these cute little breaks in the page with like this castle, and I'm like, maybe that would have made it less jumpy for me, which was an issue I had with it. I don't know. I think I'm gonna stick with my initial thoughts on the book for now, but maybe one day I'll like go back and reread books that I felt negatively towards and see if reading them a different way makes me like them. So that's all I've got for now.
Too long, but I don't wanna come down.
Hi guys, I finished Terms and Conditions last night, and I still just don't really have strong feelings one way or the other. Like, there's nothing really nitpicky for me to critique it on that I didn't like, but there's nothing really about it that made me like connect with the characters or the story. So I'm just kind of conflicted on what to rate it. Like I said before, I'm gonna wait till the end of this vlog to share all my ratings for all of the books at once, but I just don't know for this one yet. At some points of the story it felt like 2 stars, at other points it felt like 3 stars, so I'll just have to sit with it and think about it. But yeah, I don't really have strong feelings one way or the other. Not much changed between my last update and finishing the book, so we'll just have to wait and see how I feel. Hi guys, it has been a minute since I've sat down to film for this reading vlog. I feel so bad because in my January wrap up I was like, yeah, my Dreamland Billionaires trilogy reading vlog will probably be up sometime next week. But the week after I filmed that was my Disney trip, and then the week after that was Valentine's Day, so I was doing a romance reading vlog that was kind of time sensitive. So it's been a little bit, but I'm back on my Dreamland Billionaires trilogy grind, and I have an update for you guys. I'm like 16% of the way in. So this whole time I've been highly anticipating Cal's book. I thought it would for sure be my favorite of the 3. Cal has been my favorite brother from what I've seen in the other 2 books, so I thought for sure that The Final Offer would be my favorite book in the trilogy. Cal's supposed to be the one brother that's like not grumpy. He's supposed to be fun-loving and lighthearted and just a golden retriever. So that's what I was expecting out of this book, and so far it has not really been giving that. Cal's kind of been just as grumpy as Rowan and Declan, honestly, and I thought this book was going to be way more lighthearted, but it's covering really intense and dark subject matter so far. It's really focusing on Cal's struggle with alcohol addiction, and that seems like it's going to be a major part of the plot. And I don't know, it's just not what I expected. I thought this was going to be a more lighthearted, fun book. So to be honest, I'm not really feeling it so far. Guys, I'm like 40-ish% of the way into the final offer. And when I first updated you guys, I honestly was like considering DNFing this book. But it has gotten so much better. Like each time I put it down, I'm thinking about it and I just want to keep reading. I'm really, really enjoying it. It's crazy because it's things that I don't normally like in books too. Like it's small town, and I just don't usually like small town because it feels super generic. It's usually like all the same kind of characters, all the same kind of businesses and locations. Like you usually have a diner, the town sheriff, but this one, like I just don't mind it. I really like the lakeside setting. And this one also has a child in the book, and normally children in books are a hard no, but I really like the little girl in this book. She's providing the perfect amount of comedic relief. She like can't pronounce Cal's name correctly, so she calls him Cowl, like C-O-W-L, and every time it happens, it's so funny and it's so cute, and I love seeing her interactions with Cal. I just think it's so sweet, and I'm just like surprisingly liking this book so much. I don't think I really gave you guys a synopsis in my first impressions update, but basically the task that Cal has to complete in this book for his grandfather to get his part of the inheritance is that he has to live at this lake house for the summer and then sell it by the end of the summer. But the catch is that his first love, Alana, lives in the house, and it's basically like her home, and her name is also on the deed, and she does not want to sell the house at all. So it's also kind of like a second chance romance between Lana and Cal, but this book has gotten so much better and I'm really, really enjoying it. I really can't get over how much better this book is than the other two. It's like night and day difference. This story is so much better constructed and like well thought out. Y'all, this book has been feeling like a 4-star the whole entire time. I'm like, I just need the ending to be good, and I'm gonna give this book 4 stars. The endings of book 1 and 2 were good, so I had faith that this ending would be the best one yet. But Lana is getting on my last nerve. Cal did something that, like, yes, wasn't great, and like she has the right to be mad at him for, but I feel like she's just like, she needs to get over it. She's being unsympathetic, unsupportive of his situation, and it's really bothering me because Cal is like such a great guy, and she's just like, I feel like taking him for granted a little bit. I might dock off half a star because Lana's character is just really bugging me, and I hate that because it was feeling like a 4-star book the whole time up until that point. Hi guys, I have finally finished all 3 books in the Dreamland Billionaires trilogy, so I thought I would share my final thoughts on each of the books and tell you guys my star ratings. So book 1, The Fine Print. My biggest 2 issues with this book were I felt like we were told a lot in this book but not really shown. So something would be mentioned like, oh, you've been working on this and this and this, and I was like, he has? I had no idea that was a thing that he was working on. And it would jump from like point A to point B with no in between, and sometimes that works, but in this case I just didn't feel like it worked because the story was way too jumpy. When we would go into one scene, I didn't even know it was like the next scene, and it just left me feeling really confused. The pacing of this book was so odd. So plot-wise, I wasn't a fan, and nothing about the storyline really was drawing me in or intriguing me. And then character-wise, was not a big fan of Rowan or Zara. I feel like Zara was just super immature, very childish. Rowan, he wasn't doing anything for me. I wasn't really buying their chemistry. They didn't seem like they had that much of a connection. Rowan kissed Zara so early on out of absolutely nowhere, and wasn't a fan of that. I understand now like why it happened because it led to another plot point in the story, but that plot point again felt like just another trope that was thrown into the book, and it just felt like too much. I felt like the story kind of got lost in the sauce. There was just like a lot going on, a very long book, but I did like the ending. I felt like the representation was really great. So my final rating for this book is a 1.5 star. Normally when I really don't like a book, I just give it 1 star, but the half star is because I thought this book did have really great representation and I like how everything came together in the end. But I'm definitely in the minority here. I really hate to bash on a book, especially if it's one that is widely beloved. But sadly, this one was just not for me. Then Terms and Conditions is Declan and Iris's story. I really loved Iris as a character. I feel like out of all 3 of the books, she is my favorite female main character. I loved her dynamic to Declan. I feel like their dynamic made a lot of sense because Declan was really career oriented. Work was pretty much his life, so Iris was at the center of that. And therefore she could kind of deal with Declan in a bunch of different situations. She could handle his mood swings, she knew what his attitude was like, and she could really take it and dish it right back at him, which I loved. I did like the progression of their romance. I felt like the pacing was good, but I feel like the storyline, there just wasn't a whole lot to the plot to really pull me in. But I can't really tell you anything that I disliked about the book. I feel very neutral towards it. I feel like at some points this book was feeling like a 2 star, but at some points it was feeling like a 3 star book. So I think I've landed somewhere right in the middle at a 2.5 star. And then finally we have The Final Offer. Cal is definitely my favorite of the 3 brothers. He's definitely the most fun-loving and lighthearted, but that being said, I wasn't expecting the book to be as heavy and intense as it was. It took me a little bit to get into because of that. It just wasn't what I was expecting, but the more I got into the story, the more I was really loving it. Comparing The Final Offer to the fine print, Lauren Asher's writing improved so much. It honestly feels like the books were written by 2 different people because it's like night and day difference. I felt like the plot and the storyline in The Final Offer was way better constructed. It was just a really well-crafted story. And I was really rooting for Lana and Cal to end up together. However, at the end, Lana's character really annoyed me because I felt like she was being kind of not sympathetic and understanding towards Cal. I know Cal had done some things wrong and she was understandably upset about that and hesitant to fully trust him, but at the same time I felt like she could have been way more sympathetic and supportive of Cal's situation. So it was feeling like a 4 star up until the end when that happened, so I had to dock it down to a 3.5. But overall, The Final Offer definitely is my favorite of the 3 books. Really enjoyed it the most, and it had things in it that I normally don't like in books, like small town, a child in the book, but it worked for me. And like I said, I feel like it's definitely the strongest book of the 3. I feel like the books progressively got better as they went on. But overall, this isn't a series that I'm obsessed with or that I love and that I would really recommend. I'm definitely in the minority here. This series is so widely loved. If you're one of the people that love this series, I love that for you. No shade, no hate at all. I'm so sorry if I bashed your favorite books. It's just my personal opinion. It didn't work for me. I wish that it did. I wanted to love it, but I feel like it was just tropes I didn't love, characters I couldn't get behind, plots that didn't really pull me in, and it just didn't work for me personally. But again, if it works for you, I am so happy for you because a lot of my favorite books a lot of people don't like. So just my personal opinion. And with that, I'm going to close off the reading vlog. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to give me a thumbs up, hit the red subscribe button down below if you are not already subscribed to my channel, and I will see you guys very soon in my next video. Bye guys.